Hello, my name is Zippora Karz, and I am a former soloist with the New York City Ballet, where I danced for 16 years. And today I'm a repetiteur for the George Balanchine Trust. So I stage the ballets for companies all over the world and schools and universities. I started working with Ballet Tucson about 5 years ago. I set my first Balanchine ballet with the company. The first Balanchine ballet that I staged for Ballet Tucson was Serenade, choreographed by George Balanchine, music to Tchaikovsky. So Serenade was the first ballet that Balanchine choreographed in America. So Balanchine came to America from Russia, and there was no formal dance. The ballet Russe would come through and do performances, but there was no actual company or formal training in America. So when Balanchine came here, he said, but first a school. He wanted a school where dancers would be trained to learn the style in which he wanted them to move into dance. He fell in love with America. He loved especially New York. He came to New York. He loved the fast pace. He loved the way that they walked around the streets. He loved watching them play their games. He loved the uninhibitedness, and he loved the fast pace. He loved the quickness. So he put that in his ballets and his dances. He was very, very proud to be in America and to be a New Yorker. So the Serenade was first done for the students at the School of American Ballet. This was not done on the New York City Ballet. There was no New York City Ballet yet. So it was 1935, and he basically choreographed this on whoever showed up, whatever dancers came that day. So the first day there were 17 dancers. So he put them in a formation of the orange groves in California. He put them in diagonals and lines rather than straightforward inside, because he had 17. So the ballet starts with 17 dancers. And then he basically just used whatever happened in the moment. One day men showed up, so he put the men in. And so all of a sudden at the end of the ballet, you have 4 men. One day the lady fell down, somebody fell. And so he kept that in the ballet. Originally, I think that there was one person that did all the leading parts, and then he broke it up into a lot of different parts. And then in the end, there's 3 leading ladies. And so there are moments throughout it that are still what was done originally. He really did Serenade primarily as an ensemble piece to teach the dancers how to dance. So what you'll see in Serenade is a lot of patterns, a lot of the dancers learning how to work together. One of the things that I love to teach when I teach my students is I like to teach them how to express themselves energetically as big as they possibly can, even when there's somebody standing right next to them. And Serenade teaches you how to do that. You get to be generous and open and giving when you're one of 16 or 17, they're right next to you. And so you have this stage of dancers just exploding in this lusciousness of their dance and their movement, lots of running around. And I think generosity is the word that comes to my mind with Serenade. It's so lush and big and feminine and beautiful. And it's really not about being perfect. It's about being the most energetically full, expansive that you can physically experience in your body. And the beauty of doing Balanchine ballets is that you don't have to be the leading role. If you're in the core, you are just as seen. You get to be just as big and expansive. You're not standing on the side while one person just does something to the big music and then you're just posing. You are dancing, and Serenade is the epitome of that. You dance, you express. It's just as invigorating. It's just as demanding. It's just as expressive, whether you are in the back and you're one of the core, or you're in the front as a leading dancer. And I would say that everyone has an incredibly intense emotional and physical and deeply moving experience when they get to dance Serenade. And I always feel like it's part of the history. It's part of the history of dance here in America in Balanchine. And the fact that he did this on dancers that really didn't even know how to move very well, and to this day it's still one of his greatest masterpieces. Well, there are 3 leading roles in Serenade, the female, and as dancers we identify them in different ways. Originally they were all one person, and simultaneously there was also stories that there was a lot of different people doing the different parts at certain points, but it became 3 dancers, and we have names for them. One is called the Waltz Girl, and she's the one that originally she comes in late, and he kept that in. Somebody came late, so she comes in and she's late, and she has to come find her place. She's the one who dances with the male pas de deux, and then at the end of the ballet, she's the one who's left, and she's kind of lifted up into heaven, and arches back as if, either she's going up to the heavens, or we don't tell a story necessarily, but she's the one who is a little bit more tragic in her expression, in her lyricism. Then there's the dark angel character who in the section, so let me go back. So Serenade is in 2 different sections. The first about 30 minutes is really just pure dancing. The second section, there's not much of a core, but it's mainly the principals telling a little bit more of a story where 2 women want 1 man. And so in that section, you have someone called a dark angel, and she's more the woman who comes on with the man, and she's putting her hand over his eyes, and it's almost like he's walking forward, but he can't see where he's going, and she's behind him pushing him. So it's almost like she's the force pushing him. And then he comes across the Waltz Girl who's fallen down, and he stops and he sees her, and then the 3 of them do a dance together. Now there's another dancer, and we call her the Russian dance girl. And I think that it's called the Russian dance. She's a little bit more of the technical dancer that's a little bit more difficult, and I think that that's more of in a Russian style of a little bit more technically demanding steps, and so Balanchine called her the Russian girl. Well, Serenade was my workshop ballet, and so at the School of American Ballet we have an end of the year performance, and from there is when Balanchine would choose us for the company. And so the workshop was a very big deal, and you spent the year working on it. And I was given the Waltz Girl, which is the more visible part. One of them, they're all visible, but the Waltz Girl is the one that has a little bit more what's the word, like a little more angst. And so we all wanted to do the Waltz Girl. So I was the Waltz Girl, and I was about 17 years old, and I remember I just loved it. I lived for the moments of the rehearsals of Serenade. The music, the choreography, it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't danced the difference of what it feels like in your body to do choreography that is exactly what the music is telling your body to do, as opposed to choreography that maybe your body wants to go this way, but the choreography is telling you to go that way. Balanchine's choreography tells your body exactly what the musical note is saying to the body to do, that the body wants to do. So the intense, not only gratification, it's not just that it feels good, it allows you to step into, I always felt like I stepped into a portal. I always felt like I stepped into a portal and I wasn't there anymore. And something larger than who I am was with me, was stepped into me, and I became part of something universal. I became part of something bigger than my personal being. And the experience, we can all say this about dance, but the specific times that I felt it, I always felt it in Serenade. There are certain ballets that you knew you were always going to feel it. Sometimes you kind of hit it in other pieces, sometimes you didn't, depending on the role. But Serenade is so exact to the music and the way that your body wants to move to that music, no matter what role you're in that ballet, that it is an ecstatic. It's not just an ecstatic personal experience, it's an ecstatic universal experience. You're in it with your fellow dancers, you're in it with the orchestra, and you're in it with the audience. And I got to experience that as when I was in the school, and then I got to experience it when I was in the company. So I would say Serenade, it really, it is the meaning for me of ballet, of dance, of that kind of expression of moving to the music in a trained body on your toes in point shoes is Serenade. Oh, Ballet Tucson, I told the dancers that Balanchine would have been proud of them. It brings tears to my eyes. I remember after the performance telling the dancers that Balanchine would have loved their performance. They danced Serenade with the heart and soul and love and technical brilliance that Balanchine really wanted, that he desired, that his ballets deserve. And the dancers at Ballet Tucson really did that, and they lived up to it. And the reason that they continue to get other Balanchine ballets is because of the level of expertise and love that they dance these ballets.